Hey everybody, it's Silverseeker, and today I wanted to discuss with you damaged coins, and specifically the question, are damaged coins still valuable? And so to explore that, we've actually brought some key date coins that have some damage to them. So we're going to start with this. This is an 1877 Indian head cent. As you guys know, this is a very key date of the Indian head cent series. It has been graded by PCGS as genuine, but it has environmental damage VG details. And if we flip over to the reverse, there's the reverse of the coin. Now, we do have the coin scope out, so we're going to look at these closely under the scope, but I just wanted to show you these up close here on the camera first. Next up, we also have this one we're going to be talking about. This is an 1835 large cent. This is also PCGS genuine, environmental damage VF details. Now, this is the better. This is the large 8 and large stars variety, which, this is the better of the two 1835s. So I wanted to show you that one as well. Very, very beautiful coin. Now, what's really cool about this one, guys, if you take a look at it, it has a slightly rotated reverse. So you can see it's pretty centered on the front. It's not perfect, but it's pretty centered in a slab. But if we flip it over, it is very rotated. So it's probably about 10% off, which I thought was really cool. It's not something that's labeled on the holder, and that's okay. But it is a large 8 and large stars variety. So very, very cool. And then finally, we have this. This is a 1909 VDB PCGS genuine rim damage detail. So it's another genuine PCGS slabbed 09S VDB, but it has some damage on the rim. So what we're going to do with these three coins is we are going to look at them under the scope, look at the detail, and then talk about the values. We'll go in date order. So we'll start with the 1835. So here we go. We got an 1835. This is, again, a PCGS genuine environmental damage details. You can see before we put it under the scope, there's a lot of pitting here in the coin. That's the environmental damage. It's possible that this was found with a metal detector, or it was just left outside, or it was left in a moist environment where the copper started to corrode. That's what the environmental damage is. Now, on the reverse, it actually isn't so bad. It's actually a lot better than the front as far as the environmental damage is concerned. But let's go ahead and look at it under the scope really quick and see what we're looking at. Okay, so we have our 1835 under the scope. Now, I do apologize about the glare from this coin scope. Not a whole lot you can do about that. If I turn it off, it's just harder to see it. So it's better just to kind of look around the center glare. But if you look on her neck, and we'll grab the arrow here, and this is what they talk about with environmental damage. Now, the problem with this environmental damage is it really does take away from the beauty of the coin, where sometimes a damaged coin doesn't actually do this. So if we look at this one in the gray sheet, you can see in the gray sheet that it says that at VF it's worth $180. Now, of course, this is VF details, so it's not really going to be worth that. Usually when you're grading a coin like this, when you're wondering what the value is, a lot of the times you kind of do a step down. So if it's a VF that has damage on it, you step down to fine. Sometimes you do, between fine and VF, especially if there's a large disparity in the coins. For example, this one here, it's $180 at VF. It's $75 at fine. Now, if this weren't as bad of damage, I would say this might be $100 or $120. However, with this environmental damage on it, I would consider this a full step down, which means I would value this coin at around $75. You might get, a little bit more. You might get 80. You might get 90. You may even get $100. But I would value this at around $75, just because on top of the fact that it does have the environmental damage is actually pretty severe, as you can see with all the pitting. Now, if we look on the reverse of this coin, like I said, the reverse looks way better than the obverse as far as the damage is concerned. It's still obviously there. It's just not near as bad. So yes, it is still absolutely worth money, even being damaged like this. Like I said, $75 is what I put on it. I would say maybe $100, might be the maximum you would get out of it. Again, at VF, it's a $180 coin. But again, it does have the damage on it. So between 75, I say 75, but if you get lucky, you might get upwards of $100. Okay, so going in order, next up, we are going to look at our 1877. Now, this is the key date of the Indian series. The 1877 is very hard to find with a very low mintage, and it has a very high value as a result. This is actually a pretty beautiful piece. So this one also says environmental damage. Now, just looking at it in this camera, it really doesn't look too bad. We're going to take a look at it under the scope, just see what we see there, and we'll go with that. Okay, so we have our 1877 under the coin scope, and we're taking a look at it, and it's actually a really nice looking coin. Yeah, it does absolutely have environmental damage. In fact, if we use our red arrow, you can see up here there's a little bit of damage. It's really not bad though. I mean, there's a little bit of pitting here. You can see kind of a damage like corrosion of the copper up at the top, but it's still a nice looking coin. It doesn't look near as bad as our large cent that we just looked at did. And if we flip it over to the reverse, you can see the reverse actually doesn't look like it's damaged at all. So it really makes me think that this was somewhere where the bottom, it was sitting face up. The bottom was protected, being against whatever it was sitting against. And, you know, it protected the reverse of the coin. So very nice, actually, you know, the reverse. I mean, obviously it has the wear. You can see the N on one worn down at the bottom. But overall, really nice. We'll tilt this one as well so you can see that damage. So if you look up above America right there, you know, top right corner, you know, right next to the word of, you can see really where that damage is causing problems. But it's really not a bad looking coin though. Like, you know, if you look at this just without looking at it under a scope, it's a nice 1877 VG. So if we look into grade sheet for this coin right here, it grades at VG at $485. At good, which is the next lowest grade, it goes down to $365. The damage on this coin, I would say, probably warrants around $400. So in my opinion, it's worth more than good, because the damage really isn't so severe that it looks bad just holding it up. If we put it next to our large cent, you know, when you're looking at the large cent, you can just see it, you know, and then if you look at the 77 Indian, you don't really see it until you look close. So I wouldn't do a full devalue on this coin. I would say probably around $400, you know, maybe $375, but still, in my opinion, more than the good of $365 is what I would place this coin at in this holder. So, you know, it's a nice Indian. Okay, finally, we have our 1909 VDB. Now, this one has a different kind of damage. This actually has rim damage. So it's not environmental. It's not copper corrosion. It's actually just damage to the rim. So looking at it, you know, from this view, and we'll take a look at the reverse as well, it really doesn't look horrible. It's not bad at all. But you can see there is some rim damage on the coin. If you look down here above 1, I don't want to move my finger there because the shadow blocks it, but if you look there, you can see the rim looks flattened out. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one close up under the scope as well. Okay, so we have our 1909 VDB under the scope, and we're taking a look, and we are obviously looking at the rim. So we're going to try and tilt it a little bit, because what we have right here, there's a little bit of damage to the rim right here that you can see on the obverse. And outside of that, it doesn't look really too bad. Maybe right here there's a little bit of nicking, but it's really not bad. However, as we saw looking at it off the coin cam, we flip it over to the reverse. I think this is why it got dinged as rim damage. This right here is what they were talking about. And that's very unfortunate for an 09 VDB. You can see that the rim is completely scraped right there. And that's really unfortunate, because it's such a beautiful coin otherwise. I mean, it's definitely, definitely has that, fine look to it. If you look at the separation and the wheat stalks, it looks really nice. If you look on the front, it's got some wear to it, but it definitely is a nice fine outside of the rim damage. So this one right here, again, this is rim damage, fine details. This one right here, if I were to look at the gray sheet on this one, the problem with this coin is it doesn't really have a great range change. So it doesn't drop a whole lot between fine, very good, and even good. So at fine, this is a $580 coin. At very good, it's a $550 coin. At good, it's a $530 coin. Now, this coin right here is going to be an exception to the drop at a grade rule, because I consider this coin with the damage on it to really only be worth about $500. Why do you ask, when even good is $530? It's because it's such a small drop. It goes from $580 to $550 to $530. I would say that anyone that's willing to spend $500 on, more than $500 on an 09 VDB might just say, well, why wouldn't I just spend $580 for one that doesn't have damage on it? You see what I'm saying? So if you were buying this and you were already going to spend, $500 or more dollars on it, like let's just say we tried to sell this at good for $530. Okay, if you're already going to spend $530, why not just go to $580 and get a fine that doesn't have the damage? It's only $50 more. At that point, you're already spending so much. That's less than a 10% increase. So I would put this at $5. You might get $530 for it. You might get $535 for it. I don't think you'd even get $550, which is the next grade below. And again, that's just because it's such a small spread. But, overall, it's a nice coin. I mean, it's nice to look at. Outside of the rim damage on the reverse, it's a very beautiful 1909 VDB. Okay, guys, there you have it. There's the 3 coins that we talked about today, and I hope that helps you in determining if a damaged coin is still valuable. Obviously, we picked some more key dates to go with here. This is going to be different for coins that go from $1 to $2 as you go up the grading. This obviously more applies to key date coins, coins that have a value greater than $100. And I would definitely pay. What I had said for these. I would definitely probably pay, the $60 to $75 for this. For the Indian, I would have no problem paying, $375 to $400 for that one. And then for this one, I mean, I'd be around $500 if I wanted to buy this one with the damage on it, just because, again, of the low spread. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you're new here, do me a favor, make sure you click that subscribe button, hit that bell so you always get my updates, guys. And we will see you in the very next video. Let me know what you think below.